For February 5th, 2024, I'm Ronaldo Dorset. That's John Mark Nutt. This is 10YS Daily. All right, so let's begin the top of the show with where we let off sports, Jazz and his arbitration with the Miami Marlins. Now, if this is somebody who you consider a cornerstone of the franchise, I find it hard to believe that they would be willing to take a hardline stance with such a minimal number when it came to his arbitration. You're asking for 2.9 and they settle on 2.65, which if you're the Marlins in a show of good faith for someone you want to keep around, I got to say it was a questionable decision for me.
Yeah, I think it's a petty move. It's a petty move. That's all you could say. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is your all-star, right? Player. He was all-star at second base. You transitioned him to the outfield.
He made the decision to transition to the outfield. And I think if somebody is going to show you they're that much of a selfless team player, do you not make up for that on the back end?
You should. And with Jazz being so selfless, because now look at Luis, right? Your boy Arias.
Yeah.
He's gonna win arbitration. He's gonna win it. So
Latin flair with the
yeah. Is that the reason why they tried so hard with Jazz to save that $300,000 per se, which they know they're gonna have to pay Luis?
What are you saving? I just don't understand the risk versus the reward. And look, I am obviously not a businessman in control of millions of dollars. Otherwise, the network would be called 10YS. But I just don't see how something like this, for somebody this significant to your organization, meant this much for you to fight in arbitration. I think the risk is greater than the reward you're going to get from this. Because if this is something that spurns him from the organization moving forward, I don't know if that's something you want in the locker room.
It's the Marlins. Like that's like you could change ownership so many times, but it's the same Marlins.
I guess that's the most disheartening part of the entire thing. But, I mean, we always believe that objective journalism is overrated. Yes, we are rooting for Jazz to get all of his money. He's Bahamian, so are we.
Yeah.
But I do understand the concerns there are with health. So if you have those health concerns over the last 2 seasons, fine. I just don't see where this is the mark that you set the line.
So are they putting that 300,000 into his health then? Is that what they're saying? Are they saying, look, we're going to take this out so we can make sure you get the proper XYZ in order to stay healthy? Because if they did that, then you know what? I'd be like, cool. I can live with that. They're going to give him the tools that he needs to stay healthy. Now, if they're just taking money and that's it, then that's, like you say, that's just a poor showing of what's to come in the future, because he's going to be getting arbitration again and again. So this isn't the first arbitration. Don't they usually hit like 2 or 3 before they get to their final deal?
So here's the thing. The worst part about this story for me was he got the news of this on his 26th birthday. And to hear that you're not going to be getting an extra $275,000 on your birthday is the worst. My birthday is coming up in a few days. I don't think I'm going to get $275,000.
Would that change your birthday plans, though?
If you gave me $275, it changes my birthday plans. But I don't know. I am not a star center fielder. He is. I hope this works out in the best favor of Jazz and for the Marlins. So we're going to stick baseball for the time being and mention Chavez Fernando playing in the Caribbean Series. This is a huge deal, and Miami has tapped into their Latin American market because although the Marlins may be struggling, you know what the fan base is in Miami and what it is for baseball. To have Chavez Fernando do this, and by the way, he's now become like a citizen of all countries.
Yeah.
Not literally, but the fact that he's been able to make the roster for Great Britain, pitch well in the WBC, make the roster for Puerto Rico here, pitch well in the Caribbean Series. You see where Bahamian baseball is trending internationally, and is going to take us back to the same question we always ask. Well, when is our time?
Well, we'll see when our time is, but no, it gets confusing, as we always say, because it's Chavez Young, Chavez Fernandez. They both play in Puerto Rico. So you looked at, Chavez, something made a team, cool. But Chavez Fernandez has been putting the work in. Like, he goes every year to Puerto Rico. He probably loves it in Puerto Rico. We know the other Chavez loves it in Puerto Rico. But it just goes to show, like you say, when is our time? When are we going to start treating our athletes how they're supposed to be treated? Because when he goes to Puerto Rico, he gets everything he needs to be able to succeed. And this just shows that the other countries are putting the resources in so their club teams could be successful and make a tournament like this, because this is a tournament that has 6 countries. You got Mexico, Puerto Rico, is it El Salvador,
Venezuela's in it, Nicaragua's in it.
So you have powerhouse Latin countries.
The Dominican Republic.
Yeah, you have powerhouse Latin countries in it that love baseball, and the best place to have it is Miami, because regardless of what the Marlins do, even though they don't want to pay Jazz, regardless of what they do, there's always going to be a de facto fan base for the countries in Miami. So you got Mexicans, you got Cubans, you got, and I mean, Cuba might not be in this, but those Cubans want to see these other countries play.
Absolutely. The thing about it for me, and what I love about what the current Bahamian baseball generation is doing, is that they are forcing the issue. So they're going to force you to have these conversations by continuously competing in WBC qualifiers and the WBC for Great Britain. It forced people to have the conversation, well, what is our national team program doing and how are we going to get better? We were there in Arizona and we saw that was the rhetoric surrounding things. So when you see one of the top pitchers in the country go out there and Puerto Rico thinks enough of him for him to be there, you got to wonder, what are we doing to build around this and take advantage of this window of great Bahamian players we have right now?
Well, let's just think like Puerto Rico. Let's get them here pitching and try everything we can in our power to be in these turns. Like, the goal is this, though. Let's just put a team in.
John, we got to have a league first. So we spoke about Chiron Kemp and what he continues to do in his collegiate career. And yes, he's doing amazing things in track and field. And I think this being an Olympic year, there are going to be some new names that people are going to learn. He may be one of them, the next emerging leader in the triple jump. But I thought his story was so interesting to me because he's one of those players that found track and field and found the niche for the sport that he was going to have a bit later on in his career. And I think for this generation, Donald Thomas is the vanguard of that. Like, he's the one that put that idea forth. We were introduced to Chiron Kemp as a hooper for Tabernacle, just dunking on everybody. Then he turned into this great jumper.
But that just goes to show, like, you don't have to think because I play basketball, I'm going to be a basketball player. Skills that he got in basketball probably translate to the triple jump with the footwork or whatever it is. I mean, jumping, yes.
Yeah, because he does all the jumps. Triple jump, long jump, high jump.
But you got to think of a triple jump as hop, step, jump. So you got to have coordination to be able. That's almost like doing a jump stop and then going up for a layup without traveling. So people got to realize I may be good in a sport or decent in a sport, but that may not be the path that I have to take in order to succeed in life. Go off to school, like the different paths. Byron is the best thing. Byron played basketball, and all of a sudden he's just like, well, I'm pretty good at this volleyball thing, and look what happened with that.
Yeah, there are tons of Bahamians that can follow this same path. So my best advice is keep all of your options open, because with the specific skill set that you have, you never know where that one is going to lead, and we see where it's leading for Chiron Kemp. Speaking of being in an Olympic year, I think I can speak for most of the Bahamas when I say the #1 medal hopes, they have to reside with Stephen Gardner.
Yeah.
He was having an incredible 2023 season before that unfortunate injury took him out in the World Champs, but Stevie is the one. Stevie, when we look at the upcoming Olympics in Paris, you're thinking that Stephen Gardner is going to get back to where he needs to be, opens his season with an incredible time in the 300. What do we think about how this season's going to shape up for Stevie? Hopefully injury-free, first of all.
He's winning gold, man.
There you go.
That's the only take. No, see, one thing I realized with Stevie, and this has happened to him before, he's been injured, but then when the Olympic year comes, he makes sure he gets himself healthy to be able to win the Olympics. So this isn't the first time that he's gone through this, I had an injury, now I got to come back. He's done it before, and he's won a gold medal. So having that experience, I think, is just going to be tremendous for his mental morale, because that's what it is with athletes most of the time. Like, he's 28 years old. He could be equivalent of 40 years old in real people lives. Like, when you put in
45.
that much, when you put in that much stress on your body. But I really feel, because this has happened before, he knows how to handle it. His team knows how to handle it, and we're going to see him come out successful in it. Like, winning a gold medal is, yes, we won, but making the Olympics, making the Olympic finals, I think he's going to take the right steps to compete.
That's no longer good enough for them, because we know we come from a country of very spoiled people, and this is the reigning 400-meter champion. And just to give you reference of what we're talking about, he opened his season with a world-leading 31.78 seconds to win the 300 meters. So starting indoors, ramping his season up, but we know the important thing is when you get to outdoors and how you're going to gear up for Paris. Stevie's not the only one, but we like to look at this in terms of medals when it comes to the Olympics, whether that's fair or not. That's the world that we live in. So we are going to be following this every step of the way and hoping that he stays healthy straight through the line. Shifting to some local stuff, BAISS basketball going on right now. And I mean, not to toot our own horn, but this is perhaps one of the biggest elements you see us bringing to this partnership between us and Rev TV, because you can go ahead to the Facebook page of 10YS. You can check the Rev social media networks right now, and you can see all of the playoff games streamed live. That's something you're not going to get anywhere else.
And before Ronaldo brings us off, the St. John's have the best basketball program.
Listen, thank you for doing this, because you may hear me say it every broadcast, but objective journalism completely overrated. I am saying it right now. If you have 3 programs in 4 contested divisions, you have to be considered the best high school basketball program in the country. Whether they win all of them or not, they definitely win one for sure. Whether they win all of them or not, we got the best basketball program in the country.
I mean, we know someone that's going to beg to differ and say Kingsway is going to win.
This is not Andrew's time. This is not Andrew's network. He's on the radio. That'll do it for 10YS Daily. For John Mark Nutt, I'm Ronaldo Dorset. We'll see you guys tomorrow.